My name's Gemma and I have a sock problem. To another knitting video diary podcast for Tales from Midnight Dyery. My name is Gemma. I'm the dyer, designer, tutor, maker behind the Midnight Dyery yarns and patterns and courses, and I'm coming to you from my home in Devon. Welcome. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because I talked about it last week, but wow, hi. Hi new subscribers. Really lovely to have you here. Slightly still blown away, giddy, overwhelmed, but we're going to try and not focus on that and just get on with what we usually do here, which is to chat all things yarny and knitting. So what have I got for you this week? Well, there is going to be a vlog going up, a week in the life, because I had a friend staying with me last week and we did lots of Devony adventures. So we went to about 4 or 5 different yarn shops and fabric shops, and there's another rabbit hole that she's been dragging me down. Literally, she was down the rabbit hole, had her hands clasped around my ankles and was pulling me in with all her might. And I've hit the bottom and we're currently sitting around the campfire, singing lovely songs and planning lots of sewing projects. All that aside, that's coming. But because it's a big vlog and I filmed it over the course of basically a week, it takes a long time to edit. So I'm not daft enough to think I'm going to be able to get that up for this week. I love the editing process and I'm going to enjoy it. Anywho, you've got all that to look forward to. So instead, what I've got is a bit of a chat about sock obsession. Because it turns out I am obsessed with socks. When my friend was round, we were chatting one night and knitting away, and if you've been here a while, there was this whole thing where I have a whip board, and at one point I had something like 50 works in progress on the go, and that's never bothered me. I've never been someone to be fazed by having lots of projects. Occasionally I think, yeah, I'd like to get things finished and have clear needles, but generally speaking, I'm not really too bothered. Anyway, so I mentioned that I don't know how many whips I've got at the minute, and she wanted me to have a little think and see if I could count them up. So I wrote them down, and much to my surprise, I had 7 pairs of socks on the go. 7. Wow. I didn't even know I had that many sock needles. I don't know quite how that's happened. Obviously, I've bought them over time, whether I've lost a pair or I didn't have a pair on me when I was at work at the yarn shop that I used to run and I just wanted to cast on immediately. I mean, that could have happened. That could have been a thing. I really don't know. And anyway, 7. I was a bit blown away by that. 7 pairs of socks at once. I haven't got 7 pairs of hands. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know why I've got this many pairs of socks and the needles. And the thing is, I needed to cast on another pair because not one of those pairs of socks was vanilla. And I just needed a plain vanilla sock for taking out and about. Because my go-to for being out is a sock. But none of the patterns I had on the needles were portable. Well, I mean, they're very portable. Sock knitting is incredibly portable. It's one of the many things I love about sock knitting, but none of them were particularly practical for being out and about. So what's going on, Gemma? What's going on? If you've been with me for a while, you will be no stranger to my love of sock knitting. Sock knitting is portable. It is great in waiting rooms. And I spent a lot of time in 2021 in waiting rooms when I was expecting my son. I do dog walks. And when my son was born, dog walking was my one opportunity to hand the baby over and go out, and I knit socks at the same time. I've actually done a video on my channel already about why I love to knit socks so much, so I will link that below for you. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but today what we're talking about is how I've got myself in this sock pickle with so many pairs of socks. I'm going to run through them and hopefully come up with a plan as to how to deal with this because I'm in a little bit of a tangle with them all. Anyway, I've got about 10 minutes before I have to go wake my son up, so we're going to try and whiz through this fairly quickly. So, how have I got into this pickle? First of all, I love knitting socks. I always have a pair of socks on the go. They are fantastic travel knitting. I always have them in my handbag. If we're walking into town, into the local precinct, typically my husband will push the pram and I will take full advantage and knit while I'm going, because my knitting time is reduced. I know it's a lot more now I'm living in Devon and only working at the cafe rather than when I was running the yarn shop back in Kent, but it's still snatch it when you can. And I'm in the habit of always having a sock on the go. So there's that. The second thing is I started test knitting. So I've got a test knit sock. The third thing is I'm part of the 52 Weeks of Socks knit along group on Facebook, which I mentioned last week, and it is fabulous. We're having so much fun. I've been asked to write my first tutorial / kind of guide blog piece for April's make along patterns, so that's very exciting. And yeah, I also love knitting socks as gifts. So there's a lot going on. So what I thought I'd do when I wrote down this list and I realised that I have 8 pairs of socks on the go, well 7 at the time, 7. And I needed to cast on an 8th because none of them were vanilla. So there was going to be an 8th, which actually ultimately meant that I had to buy more needles. I stood in the shop thinking, am I really going to do this? No, I'm not going to buy more needles. I'm not. I've got 7 pairs of socks on the go. I do not need more sock needles. But I did, and I bought it, and I cast on. So let's go through a little tour of all the socks, and you tell me whether or not you think this obsession is justified. So when I was gathering all the socks works in progress, when I was kind of scurrying around and finding them in their various hidey holes, spoiler, one is still missing, I actually found one in my dressing gown pocket. I don't even know how that happens. I mean, of all the random places to find your knitting, your dressing gown pocket. If you're in America, I believe it is called a house coat. Never quite understood that one, but anyway. So I might talk about that one first, the one that turned up in my dressing gown pocket. Bearing in mind I just said I had to cast on another pair because none of mine were vanilla, I'd actually forgotten this one. This is the second sock in a pair for my son. It matches a pair that I made for his Lolly, my husband's mum, and gave to her as a Christmas gift or birthday gift back in, December, late December. Her birthday's in late December as well. Can't really remember when I gave it to her, but anyway, it was a gift around that time, matching ones for her grandson. And it's the second sock. The reason I haven't got any further on this is because I've lost the first one and I don't write down what I do, so I can't remember how many rounds I did for the leg and all the rest of it. So I kind of ground to a halt on that. But that's nearly finished. I know it doesn't look it. I must stop. I must be careful with how I hold this because I've just sworn at you twice. Anyway. So that's nearly finished. I'm doing it again. So that's nearly finished. I just need to get a wriggle on and get that done. So that's vanilla sock number 1, the one that was living in my dressing gown. Let's talk about vanilla sock number 2. This is the one that I thought I had to cast on because I didn't have a vanilla sock. It's Stylecraft Head over Heels, I think. Or is it Heart and Soul? I'll put the correct thing up at the bottom. It's missing its ball band. I bought this from Spin a Yarn in Bovey Tracy when we were visiting last week. I had my son Robin with me. This was Tuesday and we were chatting. I said, yeah, he's been brought up in a yarn shop. He's great with yarn. I know I can trust him. And she's like, he's eating yarn. My son had helped himself, bear in mind he's 2, had helped himself to a ball of yarn from the shelf and was chewing the ball band. He was chewing the ball band. I was so embarrassed and I found myself having to buy a ball of yarn. And the thing is, I was looking at it and I was like, why couldn't you have picked up the one next to it? Because that would have been perfect for your Uncle Jude. And so I ended up buying that one as well. And this is not the chewed one. This is the one that I hoped he'd chew, but he didn't chew. So anyway, reasons for buying yarn. Your son chews it. Excellent. Thanks, son. And I cast it on last night. No, I'm lying to you. I cast it on Friday when we were in Wool on the X, and I had it with me, and I thought if I really get caught short, I will buy some sock needles and cast this on. And my friend was shopping and planning a needle felting project to remind herself of her time in Devon, and I was just sort of stood there, and the lovely guys at Wool on the X, Debbie and Ella, Debbie had made me a cup of coffee and we were chatting about our upcoming workshops. There's going to be more workshops, I'm so excited. Anyway, I digress. Bring it back, Jem, calm down. And so I bought sock needles and cast it on, but I only bought one needle because it's magic loop, so that's not quite as bad, right? Look at that. Isn't that lovely? I really like that. And I've sent a picture of it to Jude, who most of you probably know at Stranded Dye Works. He's a really important part of our family, but anyway, and he loves them, so I'm going to knit them into a second pair of socks for him. So that's Jude's socks. Sorry, little one's woken up now, so you gonna say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Who are you? What's your name?
Uncle Jude.
Hiya, Uncle Jude. Oh, he's been thinking about his Uncle Jude. Who knit you this sweater? Whose sweater is this?
A dummy.
A dummy in. Whose sweater is this? You're so sleepy. He's literally only just woken up. Anyway, he's going to have some cuddles and I'm going to talk to you about socks. Okay. He's wearing the sweater that his Uncle Jude made him. So anyway, so we're making him a second pair of socks, and that means Robin Bobbin's going to get a pair of socks to match Uncle Jude's. Isn't that good? You're very serious.
I'm cross.
Why are you cross? Are you really cross? Are you happy? Oh, you're cross. Okay, he's woken up cranky.
Cranky.
You're cranky. This is where all the trouble really started, and it's this. 52. The trouble. So the trouble started with 52 weeks of socks knit along group. That's what really, I mean, the book started the trouble, to be fair, even before the knit alongs really started. So I cast on.
In the sofa.
Yeah, you're in the sofa. So I cast on the first pattern called Intersections. And I'm uncertain as to whether I'm going to go back and fix the mistake. I missed a cable here, and that's why I've stopped.
It's a sock.
It is a sock. What colour is it? What colour do you think that is?
It's a stocking.
It is a sock, yeah.
It's a stocking.
Well, it could be a stocking. It's a big sock. It's a mummy sock.
Mama, the sock on.
Mama will put the sock on when it's finished. It's not finished yet. So this is in West Yorkshire Spinner's signature 4-ply in the Cornflower colourway, which makes it a blue. Who have you got there? Someone's blue there. Who's that?
It's Pickle.
Piggle.
What's Pickle?
We'll watch Piggle after this. I might have to abandon this. So this is Intersections. And as I said, I've stopped it because I missed a cable there. And I can't decide whether that's going to bug me or not. So I've just kind of left it abandoned. So that is the first sock.
That's right.
It is white because what's on Mama's bag? What are they on Mama's bag?
Oh, girlfriend.
What's it? Oh, you want to find what's in Mama's bag? That's Mama's yarn, isn't it?
That's Mama's yarn.
You're so tired. Have a cuddle.
I'll play with Mama's yarn.
You want to play with Mama's yarn? Okay. We'll let you play Mama's yarn in a bit. Right. Okay, so that was the first one. Then what happened?
The pink bag.
There is you want to look at the pink bag next. Okay, we're going to skip and stop talking about 52 weeks of socks and talk about
Blue.
blue. Wow, it's blue. This is West Yorkshire Spinner's Winwick Mum colourway Blue Lagoon. What do you think? Is it pretty? Now, this is just a ball of yarn. The actual sock is behind me.
It's a sock.
I have a bag here of all my half socks.
Bag.
It's not brown. What colour's that?
It's black bag.
Top looks quite black. It's called navy blue.
Navy blue.
Navy blue. And in here, I have all my half socks.
Rainbow socks on.
It is a sock. It's a sock for Robin, but it's not got its partner yet. Do we care? We're going to put it on anyway.
Put it on.
You want to put it on? Okay, we're going to put the sock on. Here we go. Oh, where's your feet, Cinderella? Go on, put your foot in. Whoa! Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
A rainbow sock on.
A rainbow. What kind of rainbow is it? Is it a blue rainbow?
It's a pink.
It's not pink. That's blue.
That's blue.
It's blue. There we
It's pink.
go. What? Oh, the bag is pink. You can see the bag in the camera, can't you? Look, there you go. There's your foot. What colour's that?
It's a rainbow sock.
Rainbow sock.
Mm.
So this one is... Now maybe this one's Blue Lagoon. This one's Blue Lagoon from the West Yorkshire Spinners cocktail range.
Blue.
It is blue. Well done. Okay, and what other half socks do we have in here? So these aren't counting as my active pairs, by the way, folks.
Another rainbow sock.
Another rainbow sock. Do you want this one on?
I want this one on.
What do we say?
Please.
Good boy. Okay, so we're going to have odd socks. So this one is Rum Paradise. And this was made, and it matches the very first pair of socks I made my dad. So Rum Paradise is another one from the West Yorkshire Spinners cocktail range. I'm not entirely sure they're still doing them. I know they're phasing...
Come on.
Your sock hasn't come off. I've just not put it on properly yet. I'm not entirely certain that they're still doing the cocktail range or if they're phasing it out, but I just think they're absolutely joyous. So there we are. What colours have we got in this sock? What's that?
It's a rainbow.
It's a rainbow. So my bag of half socks I don't actually count as works in progress, just so you know. So these are ones that I've done as samples, little mini socks for the shop when I ran it, and I've got them back. So we've also got Kingfisher. That's why they're all West Yorkshire Spinners, because we stocked West Yorkshire Spinners.
It's a socky.
It's another sock. This is a slightly bigger one for when you're a bit of a bigger boy. This is Pheasant. Absolutely love this one. That's the sock that Jude knit me. That's it. Right, so that's it in there. Just 4 half pairs of socks. And they are... The Blue Lagoon and Rum Paradise are the ones that will fit Robin now. The other ones I've made purposely bigger to give myself time to finish them off.
It's an ice.
I was quite happy knitting vanilla socks, but then I did a test knit for Sam, who is Weaver Makes, of the Quinn's memory socks. Sam, like myself, had a much longed for child that sadly passed away. And I released a pattern called the Lara's Legacy Socks back in 2019 after to commemorate my daughter.
No, it's slippy.
It is slippy. Please don't run around in those socks. And Sam has done the same, and she's released the Quinn's memory socks, so I test knit. And it was test knitting the Quinn memory socks that really got me back into enjoying texture again. And that's when I decided that I was going to test knit. I'm looking for the bag. Aha, it's in here. I was going to test knit
Another bag.
another bag. That's right.
Mama's knitting.
Of Mama's knitting, yeah, that's right. I was going to test knit the Over the Ocean socks for Cat Crafty Knits. These haven't progressed any further. I'm not going to talk too much about them because they are in a previous episode. But it goes with the Over the Ocean.
Mama's bag.
Yes, Mama's bag with sheep on. But it goes with the Over the Ocean sweater. It's a really nice sock. I've had some issues with the fit. It's come out a little bit smaller, even though on paper it should work completely, and I'm on gauge. So I'm just going to give it a good blocking and see what happens. But the pattern is now out, and it goes from baby to adult sizes. Okay, I might quit this because my little one, he loves yarn and knitting and talking about socks, and he loves socks and he loves his jumpers, but trying to have a coherent conversation with other grown-ups while chatting with my little one is a little bit too much, and ultimately this one gets my time, so you might see me again in a bit. But shall we talk about the other one that was in the sheep bag?
That's the sheep bag.
The sheep bag. We're doing the sheep bag next. So this is one that I'm trying to fix because I don't know if you remember me telling
It's
you.
a rainbow.
It is a rainbow. This is Marcus's rainbow. So this one is Kremke from the 52.
It's Crafty.
Krempe. Okay, from the 52 Weeks of Socks book again. And I'm just enjoying showing off. One of the things I want to do is knit more socks for me. I'm going to call a halt to this at the moment because my little one needs my attention, and so I'll probably come back to you hopefully tonight, maybe tomorrow, and we'll try and record this again or finish it. In the meantime, it gives me time to sort out this tangle. I just got up to get my son's toy from the window ledge that he wanted, and there's this almighty crash, and I've managed to wrap 3 balls of yarn around my legs, and it was a whole mess. Thomas's sheds, that's right. Are we going to play?
Play, Mama.
Okay, I'll come play. As you can see, I've had a better offer. I'll see you in a bit. Hello, good evening. It is now Tuesday evening. I'm losing the light, so I'm going to talk quickly, but my little one wanted to play with me yesterday and I wasn't about to turn that down. And then today he actually fell asleep on me, and we haven't had a cuddle nap like that in so long. And I know those days are numbered, so I just decided to make the most of it. So here we are, ready to talk socks again. I know the light is probably going to struggle, but just please bear with me. We're enjoying some lighter evenings now as we're headed into spring, but it is still quite low lighting. So bear with this video. If it's a little bit grainy, I do apologise. So I think the last thing I was talking about was the Quinn's memory socks. So I won't go into those again, but they basically sent me down a rabbit hole of knitting textured socks. I've discovered I really, really enjoy them. And with that, obviously brings me back to the 52 Weeks of Socks knit along group on Facebook, which I'm somehow a group expert. So the next pair of socks I want to talk about is this month's current work in progress, current knit along project. And this is Vervain, which is pattern 26 in the 52 Weeks of Socks book. And it's really interesting. I've never done a sock like this before, where the lace pattern actually goes into the cuff. So it creates this kind of wave on the cuff, which, to be honest, has really divided people. Some people really don't like it. Some people are embracing it. I'm in the I kind of like it camp. It's nice. It's a little bit different. I don't see a problem with that. Some folk have modified it to do the 1x1 rib and then start the lace pattern. It's just really interesting. I like the idea that it kind of climbs up the sock. So there we are. That's Vervain, which is this lace. I'm using Skein and the Stitch in the Amethyst colourway, which is a really special colourway for me. It's is Lara's birthstone, Lara being my daughter, and we're actually headed towards her anniversary at the end of this week. So for me, it was the perfect choice. Vervain is a purple flower, although I think it does come in pinks and whites as well, but typically you see it in purples. And with this being her birthstone month and her anniversary, I thought it was just the perfect thing to work on to keep my mind a little bit busier. Like I'm not busy enough, but during this time. I've currently only done 40 rounds. I know we're nearly halfway through the month, but it's a very casual knit along. The idea is just to have fun, try different patterns out and help each other along the way. So I'm really, really enjoying that one, and I'm very grateful to Carol and the folks for setting up the knit along group, and as ever to my friend Tracy for dragging me down the rabbit hole. I'm not sure if I've talked about this one or not yet, so I'm going to talk about it again. And this is the Kremke sock, and I'm using Marcus rainbow yarns. It's called Grainbow, and it's a self-striping, but it really does fit the cables well. This is another one for 52 Weeks of Socks. I've got some sorting out to do here because you can see where the cables finish and it goes into stocking stitch. That's because I was letting my students play with it when I was teaching at Wool on the X a few weeks ago. So that one needs a little bit of work. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that one because that, again, I talk about in a previous video. I think we're actually nearly there. This is a bag that I bought from Bellica Yarns, I believe at last year's East Anglia Yarn Festival, which has just happened again this year for the 3rd time. It's beautiful. I brought it with, no I didn't, I bought it at the Southern Wool Show, formerly Fibre East, Summer Wool Festival. formerly Fibre East. And it was bought for Robin because he kept stealing my project bag, but he kind of abandoned it, so I nicked it back. And this is the J sock. So I'm using the West Yorkshire Spinners J colourway, which is one of their new British Birds colourways. And this is the J sock pattern by Christine Perry, who's also known as Winwick Mum. She has a collaboration with West Yorkshire Spinners. She has some yarn colourways that she's dyed. No, not dyed, but that she's come up with the concept for with West Yorkshire Spinners. And she also produces sock patterns. You can just about see, I might have to do some B-roll, but you can just about see the pattern on there. Now, I've done this, the J pattern from the book in the J colourway, because I was curious to see how it worked up in real life. There's a little bit of an issue I find with patterns getting lost in heavily variegated or self-striping yarns. But Christine always designs for self-striping, and I thought maybe it's just the photography not really doing it justice. And actually it is a really interesting pattern to work, and it does, you can see it through the self-striping. So I think I'd call that a success, but I lost my motivation to work on it, to be honest with you, when I moved house. So I'm going to get this done as a sample sock, get it sent down to the shop, and then I think I will probably just leave that pair there. That this isn't one that I want to finish. I've done the little baby socks already. They're still down at the shop showing off the colourway, but this was the patterned one. So I think I'm going to try and get that finished, because socks are a great summer project, and get that sent down to them as a sample and then leave that one as that. When going through my works in progress, I also found this one, which is just a cuff. And this is Mia, who is Brambles and Me, her hand-dyed yarn. Now, she uses natural dyes only. And I say uses, I should say used. Unfortunately, due to life circumstances and things, Brambles and Me is no longer trading. It's a great shame, but people make these decisions for a variety of reasons, and it always helps when they're for the right reasons. But anyway, but this is my old school sock pattern. This is a pattern I was designing for Mia. So I'm going to finish it. It didn't work the first iteration, which is why I've still got it several years later. And I'm going to finish it and get it sent to her as a gift. But I will hopefully be able to come up with a pattern with that one as well. The final sock that's textured, I actually can't find. I've been looking for it everywhere. It's my husband's MossBank socks. I'll put some pictures in here. It's a design I'm coming up with for my husband in yarn that was Stranded Dye Works. Again, Jude's no longer dyeing now. I really need to speed up with my knitting, so the dyes are still current when I finish my projects. But there we are. I'm really pleased with this one. I just need some quiet time to work on it, and also to find it in order to be able to work on it. I'm looking around as though the bag will mysteriously sort of wave at me from a shelf, but it's not happening. So I'll find it. I'll find it and finish it. I officially have a sock problem. Yep. So that's my confession, guys. That's my sock situation. Now I need to figure out what I'm going to do about it. I've never been worried about having lots of works in progress on the go. You know that if you've been here for a while. If you're new here, get used to it. I'm not a monogamous. I am not a monogamous knitter by any stretch of the imagination. I view works in progress as a little bit like a menu. You wouldn't go and have the same thing for dinner every single night for 6 weeks. You just wouldn't. You have a menu because you have variety, and you could choose something. Like some days you might fancy a salad, other times you want a big meaty steak. Sometimes you're in that sort of mood where you check out the puddings first. Who am I kidding? I always check out the puddings first. You've got to strategize here. Make sure there's room for pudding. And to me, my making is very much like that. Some nights I might just want to reach for a vanilla sock. Other nights I might want to work on a hat. And I really enjoy working on projects like that. I'd like to know which ones you'd most like to see finished. Let's see. And what is it about sock knitting you like? Or are you someone who really doesn't like knitting socks? It's not for everybody. Do you have any sock related questions for me? I have had one so far on Facebook to ask me how long it takes me to knit a pair of socks. And going back to thinking about being in the waiting room, I could realistically do an adult sock if I was doing nothing else, wasn't looking at my phone. I could do an adult sock in about 10 hours, but whoever does that these days, I don't know. So I might time myself, but there we are. So that, folks, is my sock obsession confession. My final piece of admin to do today is I was looking back through previous videos and I discovered that I'd promised a 500 subscriber giveaway, and I'd resolved not to do giveaways anymore on this channel after Christmas. I'm done with all that sort of thing. However, I had the Emma Homan's needle stitch embroidery. I'm going to put a picture up of the book. And I said when I reached 500 subscribers, I would give that away. So if you would like to be in with a shout of getting that book, could you please comment below? I would like some sort of yarn related emoji to show me that you have watched this far. And then tell me what your favourite fibre craft is, or something along those lines. Tell me something about you and your making for us all to join in a conversation with, and I will draw that next time. Right, my little one's back. It's time to cook dinner and the light is really, really going. So I will say good night. Have a lovely crafty week and I will see you very soon. Mwah! Bye.